Come on, keep going. Come on, do that 5.
That's it.
Is that enough?
Yeah.
Okay, come on then. Hello and welcome to the TriathlonDan YouTube channel. Welcome to another day of triathlon training. Yes, I'm out for another run. Come on. Actually feeling okay about this running thing now. So we're just out for a lunchtime steady 30-minute jog. Maybe 35 minutes, do 4 miles or so. Just backing up last night's session. Yes, it was only a small interval session, only 3 1Ks. But I felt it this morning. Feeling a little bit achy. Not used to running at that pace, or not for a while. So, splash that lorry. So yeah, just added that volume, just with some easy miles. And I have got a really hard bike session tonight, like the hardest session I've done in a while. So I will get this run done, hopefully try and recover this afternoon, so I'm absolutely on top form. And I'm hoping to get Liz to get me some shots of me flogging myself on the bike tonight, so see you there. Good evening, so it's nearly bike time for me, but I just thought I'd involve you in this conversation that's just happening. Liz, do you want to continue from where you left off?
Yeah, I do actually.
Go on then. What's happening? How the tables turned. Go on, Liz.
I'm not running tonight. I'm
Why?
running it to tomorrow morning.
Oh, tomorrow never comes. Why can't you run today?
I'm not going out till lunchtime, so I've got the morning.
Right, yeah.
And tonight it's cold, it's foggy.
Ooh.
I'm going to do a couple of jobs that I was going to do in the morning tonight, and therefore run before I go out tomorrow.
You've learned from the best.
I'm not even bothered that I've got an excuse.
On the upside, that means that Liz can get some super sick slow-mo shots of me
busy,
on the bike in the kitchen. So hang tight, let's go. Okay, so tonight's session, Sweetspot session. I'm not going to be deterred by the fact the cat has just started doing a wee right next to me doing this video. I'm just going to, and Liz is there in the dressing gown. I'm just going to roll with it if that's okay. So is that all right, Liz? Is that normal? Yeah, fine. So it's a big, massive, huge, that might be the title of the video, Sweetspot block. So about a 5-10 minute warm up, 25 minutes at the low end of Sweetspot. Now my threshold, when I last tested, it gave me a threshold of 335 watts in TT position. So I've been working to that for a few weeks, but I have crept it up a little bit over the last couple of weeks, feeling a bit stronger, feeling like my position's a little bit stronger. So I'm working on a threshold base of 350 watts tonight. So 25 minutes at about 310 watts, 2 minutes recovery. Thanks, Coach James. That is excellent. Large recovery. Absolutely no clue what he's doing, has he? I mean, what? No. Like me as well. Anyway. So 2 minutes recovery, then a 20 minutes sweet spot block, moving up to about 320 watts. Another massive 2 minutes recovery, then 15 minutes at about 330 watts. So that's a total of 1 hour at sweet spot with, well, two 2-minute recoveries in the middle. So not really a huge amount of recovery. Basically nearly an hour at sweet spot. But yeah, looking forward to it. Who am I kidding? It's going to be hard, mentally hard and physically. Like doing those long efforts, it's just so hard. But I think if I get the 25 minutes done, as soon as I get into the 20, I feel like you're nearly there. So let's get cracking. Cue the Super 6 slow-mo.
My fault, my bad. The words out, but you weren't ready for it. Show off, appearance of I got it, but I got.
Well, we absolutely conned you guys, didn't we, Liz? That footage from the beginning was before I even started the workout. Squirty water in my face, gurning like it's hurting. I'm trying to weigh up, quality of training session versus quality of content. Normally they're both not very good, but I can focus on getting the right shots whilst I'm not training, especially on a session like tonight. So this is what it actually looked like. Liz got those shots towards the end as I was just on like 2 minutes to go of the last effort. But I'm going to get showered, changed, and I'll talk to you about the power and the splits and the heart rate and all the data you can imagine in a minute. Okay, so let's have a look at that session. Now, first of all, it was hard. It was hard in so many ways, giggity, mentally and physically. Like doing efforts that are 25 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. When you start the effort and on the 25 minutes, I was 5 minutes in thinking, oh, this is feeling hard. You've just got to battle through that and get through that point. And as soon as you're halfway, you're pretty much there. Anyway, so here's the summary of the session. I always like to go to analyze so I can look at it in a bit more detail. Now, for the first time, I used erg mode on the kicker bike and it was absolutely brilliant. It felt hard and sometimes a little bit like I was pedaling squares, but it was just keeping the power so consistent. Now I'll come on in a separate video. I think I'll talk about the pros and cons of holding consistent power, because you don't do that on the road. But in terms of this session, I knew that if I used the gears and in the first effort went 10, 15 watts too hard, I would really pay for that towards the back end and potentially not finish a session. If you're like on the ragged edge of, like sweet spot, like, you're very close to your threshold, if you go too hard earlier on, you could potentially mess up the whole session. So I used erg mode, it's brilliant. So looking at this start here, you can see the line of power is absolutely spot on. So if we look at the intervals, the first 25 minutes was normalized power 304 watts. It should have been 305. I think we'll let it off 1 watt. The second 20 minutes was 314 watts, again only 1 watt shy of the target, and the last one was 325. So let's have a look at those in a bit more detail. So the first one, things I'm looking for are, firstly, the normalized power and average power. With a smooth effort, they'll be very, very similar. So you can see here, they're the same. Sometimes if I was doing it myself, they might be slightly different, and normally the normalized power is a little bit higher if you've had a few spikes. Something else I'm looking at is the power to heart rate here. Can I highlight it? No, I can't highlight it. That's a shame. Power to heart rate. What that essentially is that shows how much your heart rate is drifting for that same power. And with the power being held absolutely constant, I can see that obviously that was drifted. Now, some of that will be because at the beginning of the effort, your heart rate, it's not on the map thing now, I'll put it on now. There, you can see the heart rate line. At the beginning of the effort, you're pretty fresh. It takes a couple of minutes for heart rate to catch up. So some of it might be because of that. But we will see later on in the efforts that it rises more and more and more. So the second interval, 20 minutes. So again, normalized power and average power is exactly the same. The heart rate drift is actually a little bit smaller. Now, I'd put that down to that only being a 2-minute rest interval in the middle. Your heart rate doesn't come down very far in 2 minutes, or certainly doesn't come down to the level it was when I was warming up. So it was already starting a bit higher, which just means that there's less drift because you've already started a bit higher. And then, so heart rate wise, that was 147. What was the first one? 140. So 7 beats a minute higher. And then the last interval, 15 minutes. Average heart rate is 152. The power to heart rate drift is 3.28%. And the normalized power is the same as well. So that aerobic, that heart rate drift, aerobic, whatever, is more similar to the first effort, because on the intervals, it was getting harder and harder, and you're becoming more fatigued as well. So that power is harder to put out, as well as the power getting higher. So I would have expected my heart rate to rise more during that interval, and in fact it did. It went up to 155 beats a minute, which is pretty much threshold for me. My maximum heart rate on the bike is about 170, so I'm pretty happy with that. Great session, tough session, 95 training stress score points. So if you were to go flat out and ride your FTP for an hour, it'd be 100. So that's a pretty decent session. An hour and 20 odd in the bank. Had a decent warm down afterwards as well, and a real good workout. Interestingly as well, I did this in the house, so it's about 20 degrees or so, and I performed okay. Normally I really struggle at this sort of temperature, but and I prefer to train between like 5 and 10 degrees Celsius, and most of the time in the UK, particularly when you're doing a triathlon early in the morning, you're normally getting on the bike and it's 10 degrees tops, isn't it? So yeah, it's good. Anyway, that's rambling. I enjoy doing this sort of thing. Let me know down below if you want to see any more sort of training peaks sort of things. I'm going to talk to you a few more of the things I'll look at training peaks in the next few days, but if there's anything particularly you want to know, let me know down below. Hope your training is going well. Tea was great. It was chips and sausage and beans. Was that it, Liz? Yeah. That was it, yeah. So that was it. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you tomorrow at 4 PM.